Hello, my name is Kim Tamaska, and welcome to another episode of the Ladies of Liberty series. One of the greatest artistic interpretations of Lady Liberty in all of United States coinage appeared in 1916 on what came to be known as the Walking Liberty Half Dollar. Designed by Adolph Weinman, the classic timeless beauty of Weinman's image of liberty was so beloved that 70 years later, in 1986, Weinman's breathtaking rendition of Lady Liberty was reintroduced to a new generation of collectors as the obverse for the American Silver Eagle dollar. Without question, the popularity of the American Silver Eagle dollar is due in large part to that inspirational portrait of Liberty striding forth, draped in the American flag, her hands outstretched with the promise of a bright future for our nation. But what of the woman, the muse, who would so inspire Weinman to create this classic rendition of Lady Liberty? I'm here to talk about that woman today, often referred to as America's first supermodel, and sometimes referred to as the most visible woman you most often see in New York City who you don't know, as many of the great sculptures throughout New York City feature this woman as their inspiration. Her name was Audrey Munson. America's Venus, the Exposition Girl, Miss Manhattan, Queen of the Artist Studios, the Panama Pacific Girl. These are the various names given to America's first supermodel, Audrey Marie Munson. Audrey's fine facial features and ideal feminine shape made her the perfect woman for artists of that day around the world to use as their source of inspiration. You can find her likeness in sculptures and paintings throughout New York City and on many of our country's coinage of that era. While the Statue of Liberty may be the largest Statue of Liberty in New York, the second largest, titled Civic Fame, is of Audrey Munson. Audrey was born to Edgar Munson and Kitty Mahoney Herbert, June 8, 1891. Audrey was raised primarily by her mother, and it was her mother who assisted Audrey in climbing to superstardom. Audrey Munson's rise to stardom really began at the age of 17. Living in New York City, her first role was on Broadway in The Boy and the Girl at the New Amsterdam Theater in 1909. Her first modeling job came about as she was spotted by Felix Benedict Herzog while casually window shopping on Fifth Avenue. The word of Munson's beauty spread quickly, and soon she was referred from one artist to the next. Photographers, sculptors, muralists to painters, everyone wanted an opportunity to work with Audrey. Herzog introduced her to muralist William de Leftwich Dodge, who introduced her to sculptor Isidore Conti, with whom she did her first nude modeling. Soon after, she posed for painter Francis Coates Jones, illustrator Harrison Fisher, Charles Dana Gibson, Archie Gunn, and photographer Arnold Genthy. In 1915, at the internationally acclaimed Panama Pacific Exposition in San Francisco, Audrey was crowned with the title of Miss Panama Pacific, as her portrait was captured in stone in many of the greatest sculptures at the exposition. Daniel Chester French used her in many of his sculptures, including Morning Victory in 1908, Jurisprudence in 1912, Commerce in 1912, Evangeline in 1914, The Spirit of Life in 1915, The Genius Creation in 1915, and Manhattan in 1916. Famed sculptor Isidore Conti used her as a model for his iconic sculpture, The Three Graces in 1909 and Mother and Child in 1910. These are only a small number of the dozens of art pieces inspired by the beauty of Audrey Munson. The complete list of Audrey's artistic works is truly monumental, but the image she is most famous for is her portrait as Walking Liberty by Adolph Weinman, featured on the Walking Liberty half dollar from 1916 to 1947, and resurrected for the American Silver Eagle. She was Weinman's most inspirational model. Audrey stated that it was Weinman who carved me into more marble than perhaps any other artist. Adolph Weinman's dramatic rendition of Audrey Munson as Liberty, striding across the American landscape, hand outstretched in a gesture of peace and hope, draped in the American flag, would go on to be arguably her greatest contribution of all. Audrey Munson was and will remain to be a most heroic figure in United States history. Her timeless manifestation of liberty, captured by the great artists of her day, is a legacy that will last for eternity. Little did they know back in 1915 that two of the most iconic coins in United States mint history, the Walking Liberty half dollar last struck in 1947, and now the American Silver Eagle, would become so popular that it continues to be struck to this day. Audrey Munson continues to inspire even more Americans today than she did 100 years ago.